So what we're going to see with the Epstein Files, I think, is at some point something's going to come out so damaging that the Republicans, they're going to have to just recall him. Dude, you have to resign.
Right now we're dealing with just so much lawlessness from the Trump regime. They're kidnapping people. They're beating up U.S. citizens. They are creating cover for human traffickers.
I see Nuremberg-type trials, Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I see a reversal, and we can have a reversal of that stupid bill. We as members of the public, we feel powerless. Step out of it. You're not There's more of us than them. I always say this.
Welcome back to the Boredwalk podcast. Today, Tess and I are talking to JayJay from JayJay Legal. Your background is in regulatory law, and I've been following you because you've been such an optimistic voice for justice with the Trump regime. So welcome. Tell us about how you see that playing out and what kind of future you see for Donald himself if he even survives, and then obviously the members of his regime.
I think the reason why I've been optimistic is because I have the regulatory background and the legal background and the journalism background. I'm intimately familiar with how things work. And to think that before he came into office, one of the things that I was doing, I had a YouTube channel which was dedicated to Pinterest marketing, YouTube education, and just creator legal, helping content creators understand their, the different laws related to being a creator, the FTC disclosure, things like that. And I only pivoted because I was like, this is going to be a nightmare. And I saw what was happening in terms of the the voting blocks that were being duped, and I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Is this guy really going to go back in the office? Because here's the thing, with Trump one, we weren't sure, and people knew that he was had a history and he was grifting, and he had that whole thing with grabbing them by the whatever, and that he had a dubious past, but people were still willing to look over to I guess, I don't know, try their luck and whatever with sexism, they won Hillary, whatever. So we kind of didn't know. Trump too, everyone kind of knows. This is the same guy that had tried to steal top secret documents. He was found liable for sexual abuse. He was found guilty of defrauding a charity. He tried to subvert the will of the people in Georgia. So, they had the tax documents and the paying off Stormy Daniels. So we kind of knew what we were getting into. It's fool me once, shame on what is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. On the second round, we kind of knew where we were going to, but I still saw the tides. I just saw the winds blowing oh my God, this guy is about to get reelected. Let me do what I need to do. So the reason why I say I know it was coming. And so I knew I studied last term. Based on studying last term, I said he's going to do the same thing, but it's going to be on overdrive because he would be a second term. And the thing with the second terms of any president, it's kind of it's almost like a lame duck. It's they can do whatever they want because they know that this is it for the most part. And so they can go balls to the walls for whatever nonsense they did the first term. Same thing with Obama. He was tepid, a little bit he didn't want to be seen as too black or too whatever, or too to the left. But then on the second term, you can go as left as you want because that's it. You don't need anything else. You might lose the Congress, but for the most part, you're in there. So I knew that. So that's the thing. So to answer your question, how do I foresee it? I see an end to it. I see the other side. I see Nuremberg type trials, Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I see a lot of this. I see a reversal, and we can have a reversal of that stupid bill as early as, I know some people the effects of it go into effect during midterm, but we can if we were able to flip enough, we can just reverse it right away. It was Uno, return to center, go back. So we have opportunities if we are active. So I see everything we return to normal, but I think the damage is there. The things that it has done, the damage is done, and it's going to be effective. We're going to feel the long effect of it for the long haul, but I see an end on the other side to it. So that's why I'm able to be optimistic because of that.
What kind of liability legal liability do you think people like Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, people participating in ICE, what do you think is going to be happening to them personally when this is over? Do you think they're going to walk after Trump got out of office the first time he did? And so it's hard to have faith.
No, that's why I say this. If people watch my videos, I say this every other video. Do you plan to dive into the grave with him when he goes? Are you planning to, because your end of your career? And I said, and in a recent video, I think the answer is yes. As the GOP, they're done, because this guy essentially, like he is ending all your careers. Like so his actions is turning off not only his base, the independents, and he's expended all political capital. Because if you know about political capital, that's something that you have like a certain basket of favors that you can ask for the other side for people who has something to lose to say I'm gonna ask you to do something that might cost you your seat. So you usually have a basket of that you use throughout 4 years or throughout 8 years because you only have but so much. He used all of his political capital he has with everyone and just dumped it all like the first like month and asked these people to do all these crazy things. And they're doing it and I'm thinking, do they know this is political suicide? And it's so funny. Right before you came in here, I was thinking of Drew Ensign. I told my husband this. Drew Ensign is the Department of Justice attorney who argues a lot of the cases in the court cases when the lawsuits filed against the Trump administration when Trump issues these executive orders. And I was just telling my husband this thing, and I said, this is the end because before he came in, he was a reputable law partner at a reputable law firm, right? And I was like, how is he going to escape this when right now we have a whistleblower in Erez Raveni who has already gone on a record and said that Drew Ensign asked him why he didn't argue. A lot of people don't kill Abrego Garcia is this resident from Maryland who'd been living in the United States since like 2000, I guess, I don't know, 17 when he came as a teenager escaping gang violence in his native El Salvador, came over and then, he applied for asylum, got a little bit, whatever. So but he had a court order saying he should not be deported to El Salvador and he sent him to El Salvador. And the Trump administration tried to allege that he was part of the MS-13 gang based on tattoos. We know that a lot of that tattoo stuff is a bunch of like lies, right? I'm sorry, can I curse in here?
You're allowed to.
Okay, good. Because I'm just like, it's like, I was telling my husband, like, losing my religion. I wear this cross. I was telling my son, I was just like, I'm just like, it's over. It's like, I hope God forgives me because I'm just like cursing. I'm just like counting down. I'm like, is he blink yet? That whole thing. I'm just like totally like losing my religion over this guy. So Drew Ensign, according to the whistleblower, asked him, according to the whistleblower, why didn't you argue with he's MS-13? And the whistleblower, who's Ares Navarro, said, like, we don't do that. These career Department of Justice attorneys, they serve for years across multiple administrations because the Department of Justice is, if you don't know, it's independent. You probably know this. It's an independent arm of the executive, totally independent. And we knew that Donald Trump was going to treat it as his personal law firm when he came in there, and everyone said that. Kamala said that everyone was like, "You don't want this guy in there because he's going to go on a retribution tour. He's going to abuse the Department of Justice to do it. Don't do it." And that's what's going on. And the guy was like, I can't argue that because there's no evidence on that. And so you have someone who's complicit. The whistleblower said that they said Drew's going to. So here's a law partner. How can you leave the Trump administration and go into a law firm knowing you have that liability of knowing that you purposefully lied to on the bench and you violated your oath to office, you violated your oath to the Constitution, you violated your oath to the courts because as a lawyer you are an officer of the court for the most part, and it's just like your career's over. Pam Bondi, I can't see her having a career after this. It's kind of like you all are toxic. If the United Nations Humans, Watch Organization, the United States is a member of the United Nations. We're a founding member. El Salvador is a UN member. Venezuela is a UN member. So we still are beholden to UN human rights sort of inquiries and whatever they do. So that can directly come on Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, because they and what's his face, Marco Rubio, because they purposely use humans as pawns in this Venezuelan swap sort of scheme. They violated our accord related to we're part of accords related to torture, and also about there's one that says you are not to send someone to a nation where you know or have a credible reason to know that they are going to be tortured or they are going to be persecuted. As humans, as all of us signatories on member states, they call it country states of the United Nations, we all agree that our duty is to make sure that we are good stewards of fellow humans from no matter where they originate. So if they ever land on our waters or come on our shores, that we're going to take care of them. And if they ask for help, one of the things that we're going to do as good stewards of just global just diplomacy is to not send someone to a country where we know they're gonna be tortured. They sent all of those Venezuelans that were in the United States because they had fled Venezuela, fearing persecution, fearing like stuff happened to him. I think of Antonio Hernandez Romero, who's gay. He says, I was against the Maduro regime. I was persecuted for being gay. I left, and you're going to send him back to Venezuela. So that right there is a violation of an accord that we are signatory to. And right now, I have a video coming soon. I'm going to expose the extent to which the Trump administration is not only trying to throw El Salvador under the bus, they're trying to throw Venezuela under the bus after El Salvador and Venezuela agreed to go in on this little rouge sort of thing. I'm not quite sure what was the end game. Was it planned? It just seems so clunky, and I don't know. It's frustrating because it's like they don't know what they're doing. A 4-year-old could see that doesn't make sense, you know. So they do all these things or argue these things that doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. So I don't know. But I think they'll be accountable. I think there'll be some accountability on the other end. You know, what's his face? The ex-mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, lost his house. Right now, Mark Meadows is subject to prosecution and being jailed in Georgia right now. You know, we know that with Steve Bannon went to jail for 4 months. We know Roger Stone was on his way to jail, but for Trump coming back in office and pardoning him. There are several folks who just lost their law license.
Why aren't we seeing more attorneys getting disbarred more quickly? It seems like a lot of them are, acting very poorly as officers of the court. You would think that the Bar Association would want to disbar them. Like, why aren't we seeing more of that?
Yeah, I think there's a process to it. And here's the thing. Remember, this is like just day. It seems like forever, but it's like day 300. What is it? I don't know. You guys keeping count? Like how long we've been going into this?
Oh
I know
God.
it's a process, and it's like it's so much. It's the whole shock and awe. It's the whole flood the zone. So we're overwhelmed, and it's like people just don't even know. And one of the things that I get frustrated with is that, and why people get, this is why folks think that it's over, because it's just one after the next, after the next, after the next. And people's like, how are you so confident? I wish I had your optimism. And I say, it's because I'm following through. And if you follow through and you follow the whole thing, you'll see that they abandoned stuff. Donald Trump tried to sue let me see the last term, and this is relatable because the judge who was assigned, I forget his name, who was assigned to his defamation suit against Rupert Murdoch and Wall Street Journal, that judge was assigned to a case last term where he tried to sue Michael Cohen, I think, for proceeds of the book or something crazy. And the day they had the depositions, he dropped it. And he tried to sue Maine. That was dropped. And the taco was so true. It's taco. He does not follow through. And I know he's not following through. And I'm watching the dockets and I say the lawsuits, he either loses the lawsuits on substance, and I know people are frustrated with the Supreme Court. If you want to talk about that, I can talk about that later on. He loses ultimately the lawsuit on substance. He also realizes he gets bored, and he realizes he runs out of money, and he realizes it's not winnable, it's not worth it, and so he can only put his interest into certain things. So he floods the zone on purpose, and so if you wanted to file a lawsuit or file a claim against someone, by the time you get started writing the paper, there's something else that distracts us more pressing. You're like, oh, I can't. This is. I'll do this later. I mean, coming. You know what I mean? So people have limited resources, and so I think they're not. And they're just. It's just so much. And it's like, oh my god. And there are some actually. For Pam Bondi, several. I think professors have filed a claim against Florida to take away her license, and then it's Florida, so they tossed it out.
The Epstein Files are a hot topic right now, and I'm very curious what your thoughts are on it. Do you think it's ever going to become public? We know that they're behind the scenes trying to doctor them. Like, whistleblowers have already outed this, that we know that that's something that's happening. Do you think it's going to impact the midterms in any way, or GOP prospects in any way? Like, what do you kind of see as like the outcomes for them trying to hide it? I worry that the election is far away and they might have success hiding it between now and then. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts there?
I think it's possible that they'll try. And another thing, when you say the Epstein files is so much, because there's so much like different aspects of it. So we layman's, and we just know people just say release the files, release the list, and things like that. But you have to know there's different aspects of it. There's like the list, and then you have which is like where his list where apparently where he was gonna black the people he can blackmail. He's like, I know enough dirt about you, like I can bury you, end your marriage, like really cause you to actually go to jail with some of the stuff you've done. So he has that list, that blackmail list. But then he also has like these just mounds of documents and evidence of like the flight logs. That's another part of the Epstein files. Who was in the flight logs? We kind of already know that. Then you all of a sudden this new thing with the binder. Like where'd that come from? Like it came from Diane Maxwell's someone in her house or family found this or like, oh schmack, you know what I mean? So you have this birthday 50th binder. Let me give this to the Wall Street Journal. And then you have, so there's so much of it because the man, I don't know when he died, but he had so many years of doing bad stuff. And you don't know what he got stashed over, which videotapes, whatever. So it's the Epstein stuff. And does the government, so by the time the government in 2019 or whatever had enough information to sort of like finally like like start prosecuting him, but before a USA before the United States does any sort of prosecution over anyone, something as big as a racketeering, as that sort of trafficking thing, they would have spent like, I don't know, at least at least 1 year, 2 years, like gathering so much data, interviewing people, surveillance. There are a lot of documents. There's a lot of lots of stuff, a lot of files, a lot of there's volumes and volumes of stuff. That when you talk about Epstein, volumes of volume stuff. It may not all be in one space either. You might have different offices working on that. So when you talk about the Epstein files, it's a lot of different things. What does that tell you also? That's a lot of people who've had their fingerprints, who know what's in those Epstein files. So there's a lot of folks who can, at any given moment, can be like I at one point as a lawyer did document reviews which is like the grunt work of law practice. But the thing about document reviews, whenever there's a litigation, you have two different parties, there's mounds and mounds and mounds of documents. So they hire these lawyers and put us in the basement, and we're combing through to find what's relevant, what's irrelevant, what's good for the case, and each side gets a copy. So one side gets all these documents, the other side, and we're picking, it's called discovery, and we're looking for things. Lots and lots of lawyers. So I saw a lot of things doing that, but we're sworn to oath. We do these things under confidentiality rules. We do these things lawyer-client privilege. So we hundreds of us are bound, but up hundreds of us are enough people that will flip the script and send something to TMZ in a second. You know what I mean? So nothing's stopping someone from saying, taking a picture and keeping it. So there's lots of stuff out there that people know that you don't know who knows what. So I think that's the fear of the Epstein files. At any given moment, anything from those mounds and mounds of documents that were compiled for years and years and years by different offices will get leaked anywhere. So at some point, I think some stuff's going to come out. I suspect something's going to come out soon with one of the victims, really soon. Yeah, so some people are talking, and some folks are talking who are just like, F it, it's kind of out now. It's the avalanche effect, kind of like what happened with R. Kelly, with Bill Cosby, with Harvey Weinstein, with all of those predators, because they'll be predating, whatever's that word, they'll be like being a predator for years and years and years, impacting lots of people, destroying a lot of lives, causing a lot of trauma and stress for people. And women know that when you come forward, you are traumatized again, you're victimized again. That society and culture will blame you, and so people don't want to go through that. So there are a lot of people who finally get the courage to come out when one person comes out and then another person comes out. So what we're going to see with the Epstein Files, I think, is at some point, eventually, something's going to come out so damaging that the Republicans and the Congress won't have any other. This is what I'm thinking. Is unpredictable. I can be wrong. Have any other? They're gonna have to just recall him. Either like, I don't know, it's 25th Amendment, or it's gonna be like, dude, you have to resign. It's gonna be something that's that big, that explosive, with enough evidence, enough like validity to say, yeah, this you gotta resign, dude. And then we have JD Vance.
Right. Yeah, that's another problem.
At least no one likes him. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah.
If you were advising the governor of a state like California, right now we're dealing with just so much lawlessness from the Trump regime. They're kidnapping people in the streets. They're beating up U.S. citizens in the streets. It's dangerous. It's chaotic. They are creating cover for human traffickers who are also now in the mix, kidnapping people. It's very, very dangerous. What would you advise somebody like Gavin Newsom to do to try to restore public safety and like law and order in a state like California where we're dealing with these problems?
Oh, well, the first thing I would do is documentation, document everything. And I think there's this thing called sunshine is the best disinfectant. Like you clean things out when people see, because a lot of stuff is being done in the dark. That's because under shroud of secrecy, behind masks. These folks are covering their tattoos. It's like 98, whatever, 98 degrees outside, and they have full body because they know if someone exposes their tattoo, they know who they are. So I think what do they have to protect themselves, their anonymity, is I would say you do your best to expose the people, the firms, whatever like that, and put them on Front Street. Because the thing is, we as members of the public, we only have so we feel powerless, and that's what I love to do on my platform. Is I like to be like, step out of it. You're not. There's more of us than them. I always say this: 70s, even if, because I know people doubt the math or doubt the authenticity of the numbers. But even if 77 million people did vote for Donald Trump, I say 75 million voted for Kamala, maybe more. But you have 90 million, 90 plus 75 is way more. If there's more of us than them, we are experiencing what I like to call the tyranny of the minority. And I used to be like, how did apartheid South Africa work when you have so few people oppressing folks? And I'm just like, this is what we're experiencing. But the difference in that, those folks who were oppressed in South Africa, a lot of them had no power, they had no money, they had no political clout. And without power or money, sometimes it's, even if you're the majority, it's easy to still oppress you. But here's the people in the United States, they have money, they have access, they have privilege, they have like, it's like their brains, they're intelligent. It's kind of like we have such a treasure trove, a bevy of like activists. And look how the folks who organized the different rallies were able to get all those people out, galvanize, support, the t-shirts. It was like, it's so empowering. It's kind of like, look at all of that we have. And it's kind of like, how can you have all this and still feel like it's an even thing, and they have the power because we really, there's more of us. So I would say, and I love seeing when I see the people go after the communities they have in Chicago. I think it was, they try to come for this Haitian neighbor, and the people like, not on our watch. They were like, out, ice. And they came, because there's more of us. And so it's kind of like you expose what they have. What do they want to hide? They want to hide their anonymity. You do what you can to remove the shroud of secrecy. A lot of different blue states are passing these like no mask laws. And the blue legislature, you have a blue governor, you have a blue legislature, pass the laws. So some folks are like, some like MAGA would be like, yeah, but it's a state, it's a federal, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, because when you come in my state, even if you're federal agents, you have to put a license plate in the front and back because that's our law. And maybe in your state, you could just put a license plate in the back, but you can't, you have to put a license plate in the front and back. And so that gives people an opportunity to snap the license plates. I was promoted this thing called icelist.info. It's a group by this called Crustian List. They're on Substack, I think, on Threads, but they decided to create this database where they're asking people to unmask ICE, like take pictures, find out. They do not want people to know. They are ashamed of what they're doing. They know they're violating the law. And if you could expose as many of them as possible, I don't know if they leave the job, but it's kind of like there's a paper trail. Because, like I said, there's another side to this. So if you are actively violating someone's rights, the same way Derek Chauvin is in jail right now for violating someone's right, you too can go to jail for violating someone's human right and civil rights, for choking them or like breaking their car and denying them the Fourth Amendment right to unlawful search or seizure, which says that you can't, they're poorly trained. What Judge Fripong from the Central District of California was able to do, his name is Mame Fwasi. I'm African, so I'm like, she's Ghanaian. She has a Ghanaian ancestry. What was it? Esu Mbappe, I forget whatever. She has an African name, but she issued a preliminary injunction. They're fighting it right now, of course. But what she was able to do in her preliminary injunction is says that you can't do that. You can't violate. And she says, as part of her order, you have to retrain these people because clearly you just got bounty hunters. You didn't train them, and sent them on the street and told them we can't protect you. The reason why they were wearing masks is I'm sure they said, listen here, if people find out who you are and on the other side of this, you get accountable, that's on you. I think there's like, we're not protecting you. We're not protecting you from anything that happens from what you're doing. We're not training you. We're going to send you out to violate people's human rights, which is against the law. And at some point, if there's another regime that holds you accountable for that lawlessness and you have to go to jail, that's on you. So cover your face. And so have the blue state saying, you can't have your face covered. So maybe some of them won't do that job. Maybe they think it's not worth it because I may lose my house. Because if I hold you, if you come at you violate my civil rights, human rights, if you come in and kidnap me or assault me without proper due process, and I sue you in your personal capacity because you work for an independent contractor that has the contract with the government. You're just an individual person. So how would your contract person who owns a contract, are they going to protect you? Are they going to say, Daniel, we got your back. We're going to represent you against us. We're going to give you. No, they're not. They're going to send you to the wolves, and I'm going to prosecute, and I'm going to come after your house. I'm going to say, when I get my judgment, what do you have, Daniel? Okay, you got that Tesla. Okay, I'm going to take the Tesla. Okay, I see the jewelry. I'm going to take your jewelry. I'm going to take your house to make the judgment. And I'm going to get a lien. Lien's going to attach your stuff. I'm going to get your tax returns for the next 5 years. You don't pay the judgment, Daniel. So it's like when they start exposing them and then start letting them know like what you're doing by not being trained is like you're subjecting yourself to personal liability to losing your house. And so I think one thing is like exposure, sunshine, expose it all. Let's let people know as much as possible. Like that's one of the first things I would do, and document everything. Like for this is a little bit tangent, but I see that as I say when I say on the other side, there's something to this. I think next year, November 2026 is gonna be here like that. So we need to start getting our cases ready for when they flip. Because when they flip, you know what happens when we get back the House and the Senate, we get chairmanships. We can control the legislative agenda. We get subpoena power. So that's what Steve Bannon went to jail for 4 months because we subpoenaed him under, the last Trump administration when the House and Senate were blue. And when we asked him, he said he's not gonna come. We're like, off the jail you go, buddy. And he was in jail for 4 months because he refused it. But that subpoena power comes with the Democrats controlling the House and Senate. So now we have the ability to throw them all in jail because if you don't want to come speak, take your ass to jail. You know what I mean? So that's what it is.
What do you think is stopping some of the blue state governments from arresting people that are engaged in all this criminal behavior? They're assaulting people, they're kidnapping people, they're not identifying themselves. If you walk down the street in California, you just start snatching people and shoving them in your car, you're going to go to jail. I don't see what they're doing is different. What do you think is preventing blue state governments from acting that way?
I don't know. Because as I always say, like, if I was the president, I was the governor, I'm like, look at here, gather around. This is what we're going to be doing. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's preventing them because especially when you have like California, that's like a blue legislature where you control both bicameral, the House and the Senate version of your congressional, the legislative arm of your state, and you are a Republican, a Democrat governor, and like what's stopping you from passing laws? I don't know. I think it's just, and I think it is, they could be doing something. I don't know about like immediately arresting people. And I think the other thing could be that it's like, and they are getting some of them arrested because when they find out, because ICE allows them to mask, there's been people who try to like assault women, who've been going up and try to like kidnap children. Do you hear about that? There was this guy that was arrested that had went to buy, and this is verifiable story, so I'm not making this up. You can look it up because a couple of times I got duped. Stuff is so ridiculous that you're willing to believe it before you just like, is that really happening? But anyway, this guy went to buy a bunch of little mattresses, stuff that you would get and then he had bars in his window. So he was planning on kidnapping a bunch of like migrant kids and put them in his apartment. And him and another child predator who were on the registry had this weird plan because they're sick, whatever like that. But they were going to do all this because ICE, Department of Homeland Security, had put up the infrastructure for a bunch of real American criminals, American like traffickers, American sex predators to do all sorts of deviant crap, crooks, whatever, because they really set the atmosphere for it. So those people, when they get caught up, they're not ICE, but they are doing it. And I think expose those stories. There's so much, like I said, they flood the zone. So many stories. Like I saw that story, and by the time there's so much. If I were even to amplify that, there'll be like 5 or 6 other stories like that. It's kind of like wow, and then people it's just so much. So yeah, but they're doing what they can, but I don't think they're doing enough. I'm with you. I don't think they're doing enough. I think they should do more. And I think what's going to happen and this is sad, I think what's going to happen, what I predict could be happening, is some of those frustrated communities, they're going to go to the wrong town. A couple of them ICE agents, and then after a while, they're going to be like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to that neighborhood. I'm not going because where are they going to get these people? And someone said, let them come to Chicago. And the one time they did try to go to Chicago, what happened? When they tried to get their Haitian neighbor, they almost got God. So I think at some point, I don't want to, I value all human life, but at some point, something or something's gonna happen to some of them agents, and then that's what's gonna cause them to retreat a little bit and to be more tepid and cautious and maybe stop going at this because when they realize, this is not worth my life, I could be the next, that's the fear. It's like, and also for the assailants. So the assailant said, "Oh, he got one. Let me see if I can get one." Then you have again. There's more of us. There's more of us. So you're going out in the street and you with your buddies, but you don't know where it's coming from, like whatever like that, And so I think that's gonna cause them to fear when if it ever happens that some of the ICE agents start being taken out. And Christy Nome already said that a lot of them were getting like assaulted. A lot of them were having things happen to them. We've seen the tow truck companies go off and tows the trucks. So in terms of like the resistance movement, it's like everyone's on board. Again, there's more of us. Hotels are saying you can't stay at our hotels. Some cities are tearing up their agreement to say you can house our people you detain. You can keep them in our jails. They're saying you can't keep them in our jails. So you have to like put them in cars and drive them to the city that is cooperating with you. So if all the blue states said we're not cooperating with you, we're tearing up an agreement, we're sanctuary for a reason, and all the people in where they're going after them in the blue states because that's where the blue states where they get the protection.
Are there any court cases right now that you're following that you feel like most people aren't paying attention to that you think more people should be paying attention to?
I mean, all of the Supreme Court cases, all the ones that went on the emergency docket, and I know it's not complicated, but what happens is, and this gives me a good chance to talk about the Supreme Court, is that what and during Joe Biden's entire 4 years, I think he went up to the Supreme Court like 10 times for an emergency docket. Donald Trump's has gone up like 20 times in his first like 3 months in office, just asking for a cover from the Supreme Court. So I think all of those cases we should watch because it's on substance. The Supreme Court has given him wins on procedural meaning that the Donald Trump does the illegal things like the birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court, all 9 justices recognize that if you are born on U.S. soil, even if your mother is undocumented and your father is not a citizen, you are entitled to birthright citizenship. During the oral arguments, all 9 of them, even Justice Alito, even Justice Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, all recognize that. So if you ever see a MAGA in the wild saying like the Supreme Court is going to overrule birthright citizenship, no, they're not. We're not going to do that. They know that's whatever. So that's not true. What they are doing, though, is giving Donald Trump time to carry out his agenda and wreak havoc. I don't know why the hell they're doing this, because when those cases get settled, so it has the first level is a district court level, and that's a long process. You guys know in the court, you got the briefing, you got discovery, you got back and forth with document productions, and you got the hearings, you got the da-da-da-da-da. It could take like years. It can take. They can expedite it, but it can take a while. When they lose, the next thing is go to court appeals and start all over again. That could take forever as well. You can ask for expedited, but even expedited can take a long. By the time it goes back to the Supreme Court has the choice. They don't have to take it. They can say no or they can't. Like, for example, in the Florida case, when Florida tried to pass their own law saying that trying to make it criminal to be an undocumented person in Florida, which is ridiculous. Do you know how many undocumented people in Florida? And essentially setting up the police to start arresting people and put them in jail for the mere civil infraction, because immigration is a civil matter, not a criminal infraction, and criminalizing just the act of being undocumented or the act of seeking asylum or the act of being here on a temporary protection status basis or the act of being a refugee or living in the shadows or having an overstayed visa. That's civil infractions and want people to go to jail for that. So Supreme Court said to Florida, we're not taking that case. So which means they lost in the lower court level, they lost in the Court of Appeals. Once the Supreme Court says no, it's law. That's it. That's it. They're done. They have to wait till somehow it percolates way back at the top. So by the time some of these cases go, Supreme Court arguably can, 2 things can happen. Donald Trump and them cannot ever appeal it to the Supreme Court. They could just they essentially let them wreak havoc forever because they can always choose not to appeal it because they know if they appeal it, that they can lose. So they don't want to lose. So why would they appeal it when they know if they appeal it, they're going to lose, especially if they appeal it. Your circuit, you guys in California, Ninth Circuit,
Yeah.
they're going to lose the Ninth Circuit. First Circuit over there, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, they're going to lose there. DC Circuit, hello, that's where I am. They're going to lose in DC Circuit. They may win in the Fourth Circuit, which is Virginia, but that's split. We're meaning like half of the members of that circuit are like, no, I think like, most of them are liberal. Yeah. So it's something like 6-5. So they may more likely lose on the Fourth Circuit. Where they are going to win is Fifth Circuit, which is Texas, and they may win some of the midterms. But in terms of like, where all this stuff is going on, and that's a good thing, where the immigrants are, where they're hammering things out, or in blue districts where the next level, the Court of Appeals, is very liberal leaning circuits. So they're gonna lose on the lower court, and more likely gonna lose in the next level. So what's their incentive to go to the Supreme Court? Because the Supreme Court has covered, because they probably told Donald, if you ever come here on that stuff, you're gonna lose, because he doesn't follow the law. So he's gonna lose on birthright certificate. He's gonna lose on all the things. I already predicted this. On substance, he loses on a couple of things. I did see them trying to test the waters for, but on substance, he loses. So they can say, Donald, if you come up to us on substance, we're gonna lose. So the best we can do for you is we can pause the things so you can carry out your agenda as you want. And that's corrupt, I think. And I'm upset and I'm disappointed because I didn't expect them to do that. And I'm heartbroken.
Other thing that is obviously the human rights violations are number one for me. So upsetting and infuriating, and the thing that I'm the angriest about by a mile. But the second thing that makes me so angry is all of the corruption and all of the theft of the taxpayer money that is going on right now. I imagine there will be civil suits and people should be entitled to remuneration. But at the same time, like, the taxpayers should be able to get some sort of remuneration. There's been this huge transfer of taxpayer dollars from us to entities like these for-profit private prison corporations that shouldn't even be allowed to exist, much less making all this money off of the situation. Do you see a legal path for taxpayers recovering, like, the ill-gotten funds that Donald has used the office to get, or that some of these private prisons are getting that they really shouldn't be getting? Like, do you see a path for recovery for the taxpayers for any of the money that we're being fleeced for these days?
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I think what could happen is you could see them claw back the way they try to crawl back the NPR and Corporation Public Broadcasting and the USAID funds that are already been allocated by the previous thing. That's really, really upsetting to me. I think that their kids who were like, getting their AIDS medication, they destroyed a bunch of food that was sitting on Tormex. Like, it's the cruelty of it is just ridiculous. But the way you get it back is that a next how we could get back, how we've gotten money back in the past is usually when it's economic. When he destroys the economy and the next president has to recover it, they can do what Trump's done himself, Joe Biden has done, Barack Obama has done, George Bush has done, is just give people a check, essentially, where you're just getting like a rebate, like a tax rebate, it's called a stimulus, like to stimulate the economy. So it'll take him wrecking our economy and we'll get the money back that way, but we're not going to get it necessarily directly back from the for-profit visit. Like we say, give us that money and distribute it amongst the residents. It won't work that way. What will happen is they'll recall the contracts and say, perhaps recall the contract early if there's a loophole ability to do that. So that's how we would get back money from the contractors, essentially cut them off the way they've been cutting off, way Doge cut off contracts for anything that's like DEI centered or whatever, like goes against the agenda. So that's how I see it happening. And then other than that is like, when he destroys the economy. So we got to wait for these tariffs to start kicking in. And he said he's going to mess with Jerome Powell. I think Scott Bessent talked him out of that and said, dude, if you do that, that's the end. That's the end of our economy. That's the end of the U.S. dollar. No one's going to be destabilize the dollar. Stuff's going to start crashing, and you might as well just say goodbye because we're going to be in a deep, deep, deep depression if you do that.
What about the reputation for the U.S. on the world stage? We've lost tourism. Trading partners don't want to work with us. Do you think there's a path to fixing any of that in our lifetime? Because that's the other thing that I feel like we're losing as Americans is just our reputation, and I don't know if it's something we can fix in our lifetimes.
I think it's damaged for good. It's one of those things that say, I hate to do all my mixed metaphors, talk about the Pandoras box, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So what he did was open up a Pandora's box, and there's another metaphor I like to use. I say the United States has always been on the fabric of the United States, the rich tapestry of all the stuff that makes up America, the different different topographies. We have mountains, we have hills, we have all these things. America's such a great place, and it's a melting pot, and food is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. We managed to do a great PR job of presenting ourselves to the world as this fashion. That's why all these people want to come here. Like people just like before all of this, everyone wanted to come to America. Our universities, they want to study at Harvard or go to UT Texas, or they wanted to go to USC. And so we had such a great draw because we've done a wonderful job for centuries, almost like presenting ourselves as this, this wonderful place. It still is. It still is. Still a great place, even though we've like crazy virus of administration right now. But underneath all of that, America's always had its problems. We've had what we've done with the Chinese internment camps. We've had slavery under there. Underneath there, we have, what happened with Reconstruction and the post-Reconstruction, the Jim Crow era. We have, like some human rights, some abuses. The healthcare system hasn't been necessarily good. So there's a lot of problems, but we've been able to bury it underneath the carpet of our fabric. So what I say, what Donald Trump what he did on 2015, he took 4 years to essentially lift up that carpet and take all the dust mites and say, go free, go free. And he let all of the like people who before knew there's certain things you couldn't do. They resided like the white nationalists, white supremacists lived, that they were always there, but they were amongst themselves, just infighting and cussing at everything they see at the surface. But from the basement, like at their mom's basement apartments, and when you see them in work, whatever like that, you didn't know. But Donald Trump was like, come on out, come free. That's why during his first term, there was this rise and all of this like hate crimes and all these incidents, is because he essentially it was a president for them. The KKK endorsed him. For the first time, the KKK was like, oh my God. And the guy who was the head of the Grand Dragon or whatever he's called of the KKK said, this is a man who knows about us. He got our interests in mind. We got to vote for this guy. You know what I mean? So all of the folks who think like him were like, oh my God, this is great. So that was the first exposure to scraping away of the concept of American exceptionalism. Like, we're an exceptional nation. We are not subject to things like big floods and tsunamis and droughts and all that stuff. Like, that doesn't happen in America. We're so blessed to be in this land that has so much riches, so much wealth. And other than the coastal towns that have like the earthquake and maybe hurricane and things like that once in a while, and a little tornado in the Midwest, for the most part, sitting on just prime real estate in terms of the globe, you know what I mean? So there's a reason God blessed us, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't put us like that. So that whole thing that we were able to like sell the whole world for years and years and years about how great this place is, Donald Trump kind of like eroded that. And he started in 2016, and people started to say, well, maybe they're not that great. And are the racists really running things? We saw what happened in the 60s, but that's, they had a black president. None of that stuff doesn't happen anymore, right? And so I think, so he gave people a little taste of that. And now with his new administration, it's like he's gone full blown like Nazi, full blown like, white nationalist, whatever like that, full blown racist, everything, sexist, everything like that, xenophobic, all they went to extreme ends. And this guy recently talking about he went on that Jubilee thing and talking about, yeah, I'm a fast. Like, what? Like, you really, that's the thing. People feel fine and okay because they know there's enough of them who are in the government. There's a couple of, he has 4 neo-Nazis in the Trump administration. Like, I'm not joking. Like, they have not Nazi things. They're in his administration. So he's normalized people and things and thoughts and ideas that we had thought we had suppressed and kept underneath the carpet for a long, long time. And he just exposed them all, and not just exposed them, normalized them, and gave them seats in the White House, gave them seats of power, gave them all sorts of places. And we're just like, and just like, what? And so I think that is kind of going to be hard as hell. Like, to put back in terms of like best people like in the world be like, damn, America's really not that great after all. It really has a lot of problems. Like, look what they do, look what they're doing, and when you see the stuff they're doing to the migrants and the stuff like that, and giving them food and maggots and treating them like stuff, I think that's by design, by the way. All of that is to discourage people to come here. That's why you put the kids in the cages in the first term. It's like, don't send your kids. You send your kids, I'm going to put them in the cage. I'm going to take your baby away from you and give it to some mom who's once a kid in the Midwest, and you're never going to see your child again. So don't come here. So I think that so in terms of the damage is done. It's going to be take years and years to repair. I'm not even quite sure it's ever going to be repaired. And they say this, there's a thing that says a brain once expanded, never goes back to the same way it is. Like, once it's open, it's never, I don't think we can ever put that back in the box. It's out there. It's exposed. So I think he's damaged the United States reputation for good for a long, long time. I don't think people are ever gonna forget it. I don't think. Sadly, that's just. I think that's one thing when I try to be optimistic, but that's realistic. I think that's true. It's just bad because 77 million people voted for this. People when you travel and people look like when you travel internationally, what'd you do? And they're like, it wasn't me. They say, yeah, but 77 million people did. So it might not have been
Mhm.
you, but there's 77 million of y'all that saw this and said, yeah, yeah, that's our guy. Yeah, okay.
Not a good look.
No, it's not. So it's damage is done. Yeah.
What are some things that you hope the Democrats put in place to prevent
Mhm.
something like this from happening again if they are able to retake
Um.
power in 26 and
Oh
28?
my
Are there
God.
specific things on your wish list?
Yes.
Tell us
Yes.
about those.
Oh my God. I'm like, this is a freebie. Number one, oh my God. The Merrick Garlands, bench them. No more of those type of people. Because imagine had Merrick Garland been a little bit faster and got this daggone guy convicted, jailed. That's it. He can't be on the ballot anymore because that would disqualify him from being president. That's it. It's like that's it. You can have someone who's convicted of a crime or whatever like that, but once he's convicted and jailed and all this like that, that's damage. That's good. He's going. People will vote for him, but it's like the jailbird thing would have been hard to overcome, I think, but you just never know because these people are crazy. But no more slow walking, super careful. I think Gavin Newsom is a great model. I mean, it's controversial, but what he's trying to do with the redistricting is gangster, but we need more gangster type activity. I'm sorry. Democrats are so this purist. They're like that saying that says Republicans fall in line, Democrats have to fall in love. One small thing, and people like I had a post the other day. I don't know if it was a troll, and the person was like, it was talking about it was an expose. It was a documentary about Donald Trump and his connection with Russia and how Russians probably used him as a ploy to infiltrate the United States and destroy the United States from inside out. And one of the person was like, "I can't get past the music was dramatic," and I was like, "That is what's wrong with the Democrats. Like, what the freak are you talking about? We're trying to take down a tyrant, and you up there talking about the damn music. Like, please step aside." Step aside. So all those like crazy like thingies, they need to be removed and rooted out and say, we got this. We got this. When we finish fixing it, you all can come back. But right now, you're in our way. Step aside. So folks like that, and then the people who are going to be like Gavin, who's going to be like, we're done being nice. We're going to the gutter. Michelle Obama, when they go high, we go, when they go low, we go high. Nah, no more. So aggressive, take all of their playbooks, every single thing they do, they've done to get us. Study that shit, put it down in a book, have courses, and come and train all of the different Democrat operatives in different states. And like, this is what we're doing now. We're doing as much as we can, not to take away people's power. We're going to find the pockets of disenfranchised, disinfected, upset Republicans. Because I usually say leave them alone. We don't need them. We can take some of them. Find those Democrats that do not vote because they don't know where the polling place is. They just travel, they just hobble, and show them to the extent that you get $1,200 a month from Social Security, and you get $200 a month from your food stamps, and so that allows you to live. And so because you can live and you're cool, you're comfortable, you don't feel you need to necessarily vote because you're comfortable, you're poor, but you don't see the value of voting, so you don't go to the voting booth. So you tell that person, you see that 1,400, that's going to be 1,000. So what in your budget are you planning on cutting when you lose that $400? That $200 food, you stretch, make that $200 stretch. Okay, imagine that's going to be $100 in 2026. So now you have $100 for food. Now you have, instead of having $2,000, whatever, you have $1,500 to make all your bills. So what are you cutting off? Who's going to cut off? What you going to cut off for Netflix? What's coming out? And when they're just like, what do you mean? What's coming out? It's kind of, yeah, Republicans who you vote for all the time, every single time, they're taking away $400 of your $2,000 check, and they're taking away half of your food budget. That was in this bill. What? Yeah. Let me show you. Let me do a mock up for you. Let me show you the bill. Da, 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 this is what you expect to get. 2026. So you have a couple of years to prepare. Really? Yeah. So who did you vote in your last election? I voted for. Da, 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 I always vote for such and such. Okay, that's the person who's taking away your 400. You have to make it practical and make them realize, like, you know how we can get this money back to you and keep this. We can come in and we can flip that and we can reverse that. So that reality that you're facing in 2026, that reality goes away when you vote for our guy, because our guy is going to make sure you keep that $2,000 a month. Our guy is going to make sure you keep that 200. You continue to vote for you get to vote for. Start planning for what the money's going to get. Oh shit, yeah, yeah, yeah. So you make it real to them. You be like this is your life. People just can't connect it because it's distant. They don't know how it connects to them. So I think that's what they need to do. Is like that's what the Republicans did. That's what Donald Trump did. That's how he formed his MAGA coalition. He went and found low voters. The people who made up MAGAs never voted. The MAGA coalition was made up of non-voters, low turnout people. They didn't vote. Where did he get them from? He had a group, really smart. These people are like brilliant. They went and found pockets of those low voter turnouts, low propensity, disaffected voters that just went about their business. Like how I said, they didn't vote. And they said, what's going on with your life? No one lives like, people call you racist. They laugh at you. They call you trailer trash or whatever like that. They don't respect you. But you know what? We got some guy who's coming. He's the man. He's a populist. He's a working man. He got your back. He's going to make sure you whatever. You know who's causing the problems? All the immigrants. You know them Democrats. They're giving all the benefits. They're giving it to the immigrants, and they take your money. Word, yeah, they took your money, and they got all these, and they're promoting these queers and these rainbow things and all this stuff like that. You don't like that, right? Going against your family values. We got a man who respects your family values, who's going to keep it and make sure they don't get to take over. And that, you see that what they doing on TV, you don't like it either. Our guy got you. All right, word. He turned people who never voted into voters. So why can't we go find those pockets of people who never vote and get them the same way Donald Trump activate them? That's just still in the playbook. They've already done it. What did Charlie Kirk do? Charlie Kirk went to round up all these Gen Z boys, another low voter turnout pool, Gen Z boys. We Democrats laugh. We didn't. They never vote. We looked at the history, the data on voting patterns over the past whatever years. Gen Z boys don't vote. But weren't called Gen Z boys, but young boys, age 18 to 20, 24, they're too busy trying to get laid and playing video games and doing whatever. They're not voting. That's not a thing they do. Donald Trump gamified, made it fun, groomed them with the little funny things on TikTok and da 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 da. And he's like, "It's like your grandpa," and da da da. And he got them excited, and he said they don't care about you because look at they're talking about women, they're talking about these like diversity, they're talking about this other stuff like that. Where's the group? Where is the group that helps you? There's nobody helping you. They're looking at all these other communities, all these segments. There's none for young men. Like, what about you? You can't get laid. You can't, you know what I mean? They ain't got nobody got you. You know what? Donald Trump got you. He's a macho man. He's an alpha. That red pill content. He vote for him because he'll look after your interests. And they're like, word, okay. So now the Gen Z boys were a voting bloc that impacted the 2024 election. The way ignored like Hicks, whatever, got him elected in 2016. And the reason why he didn't do 2020 is because what's going to happen with the Gen Z boys and what happened with the 2016 folks, when he started actually governing, they realized, oh, this guy is shitty. So when he messed up, he promised to bring back industrial jobs. That didn't work. He screwed over so many farmers, so he lost some farmers. And then he did the thing with January 6th, so he lost some folks. So his coalition that he built up, he eroded that over the course of 4 years. And so by the time he went to reelect, that erosion really impacted him and had helped to lose. Now in 2024, he's eroding them faster, and they aren't really the Gen Z kids. They're just like, oh, smack. Some of them like used to be on my videos all the time, and they've gone away. And I'm like, why did they all go away? Because they weren't really like they were just in it because it was fun. Charlie Kirk was. I don't know. I don't think he's cool, but he was giving away sweatshirts and hoodies, and he was signing people up. And Charlie Kirk, had someone sign up for every boy and made them vote and harassed the hell out of them. And so Charlie Kirk said Democrats were boasting about, we knocked on all these doors and we got all these registered voters. And Charlie Kirk was like laughing at us, is like, look at y'all boasting about knocking on doors and registering people. We actually got them to vote. We got them to pull the ballot. We nagged them until they turn their ballot in. That's why the Gen Z boys were able to make such a big dent in it, because Charlie Kirk got results. Results are it's going to the finish line. It's not rallying the people and giving them water at the starting race. It's getting them across the finish line. And that's what Democrats need to do. They need to go to the disinfected voters, rally them up, find pockets of non-voters, 90 million of them. We have like 90 million to pick from. We don't even need all of them. 10% and we're good. You know what I mean? Find those damn pockets of people. Use the Republicans' playbook. I don't know about redistricting. It's kind of funny saying that, but if it works, it works. So do take their damn things that they do. I mean, because whatever, it's disenfranchising people. I don't think that's cool. But take their playbooks to the extent that you can do it, and just stomach it. Stop being purist. Stop being highbrow, and stop being stuffy and like, oh, we can't do that. Stop being perfectionist. Stop trying to be like we're above it. We don't do that because we're Democrats and we have hold people to the higher standards. You want to win, or you want to okay, you can have your high standards while Donald Trump is having a third term. Well, which one do you want? So yeah, so that's what I say is like take their playbooks and give it and use their playbooks to wherever they found votes, whatever they did, do the same thing within the bounds of like morality and ethics and whatever you can stomach, whatever like that. So I think that's what I would tell them right now and start right now. And then yeah, start the process. Start what we planned. Start the impeachment and conviction binders now. Build that case now. So when it's time, it's like, all right, we've already been working. So we got some stuff here. We've already have a file here ready to go. All you gotta do is give us a word and push the button, and we started. Like that.
Are there any particular Democrats that you are feeling optimistic about or that you're watching for 2028 that you would like to see on the ballot?
For 2028 for president. I mean, obviously, right now, Gavin Newsom, like the person, I mean, a lot of people, a while ago, folks wouldn't think that, but for some reason, I think he is doing a great job of matching Donald's energy. So right now, he's matching Donald's energy. Before him, and still it was Pete. Buttigieg is like still the same thing. Some people gave Pete Buttigieg some grief for which I think that was wrong, and I would have been one of those people back in October. That would have been me. Uh, July 2025, me. I'm not that. Go in the damn conservative place and go do what you know to do. Fight, go on their turf. People say he shouldn't have gone because he's essentially elevating them and giving them cover. Nah, nah. Go, you know what I mean? So Pete Buttigieg, obviously, I think Gavin Newsom, yes. People say Kamala, no, but they say it's suicide, and that's because I don't know, because she in 3 months raised so much money, she got so much support, she created a momentum, and there's nothing. That's the only thing that stopped her. People was like, I guess, race. Like if you don't know right now that racism and sexism kind of will hurt you by now. I don't know when America's going to learn that lesson. Because the last time y'all say we can't trust the black woman of color or the woman of color to run our things, and we're going to go with the grifter, sex abusing, cognitively in decline, old bag of hot air. I can't help you. I can't tell you. But I still think, she had a good momentum. I'm still wearing my Kamala Harris. I still wear it out. Who do you guys see? Who you guys are?
Um,
Nice.
it's early, so it's hard to say. Being Californians, we know a lot about Gavin Newsom because we've been living with him for a long time. I I don't know how electable he is on a national level.
I worry that people hate California too much for
Yeah.
Newsom, like, and he has baggage in that sense. And I always kind of feel like the people who are like real hot right off the gate, like those are the people who just like people have too much against them, and so they don't end up doing well in the primaries. Um, I don't know. I feel like Buttigieg has maybe more of a shot, maybe a little bit less baggage. But I worry about running a woman for sure. I'm like, I don't know. We're 0 for 2 on women, so sucks. Wish we weren't that way, but not sure that I'm confident there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. There's
I
up
like
and coming
AOC a
people
lot. I
or
do worry about the misogyny, though. So that's concerning.
Did you guys think? I think it's Chris Murphy. I think is that the senator who? I think that's his name. Who does a great job of
Yeah,
like.
he's from Connecticut, I
Yeah, I
think.
think so. And then Senator Whitehouse, I heard was really good. He's the one in the video. I don't know if you follow me on social. I found this video. It was called God. It was about the Russian thing, but he's in the lead up of that. He's really good. And then all of the people who Kamala was considering for all the men Kamala was considering for VP. And
oh,
Prince,
Tim Walz. Yeah,
Shapiro.
I was
Shapiro,
oh,
yes,
other
yes,
one.
Shapiro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Who's the other guy? So I don't know.
Shapiro could be
It could be
interesting.
some. It could be someone like who's in this like how Barack Obama came up from nowhere. You're like, who is this kid? You know what I mean? It could be something like that, where it's like
Hmm.
someone who, like you said, who isn't already on front, who doesn't already have baggage, who doesn't already have people who hate him. You know, like someone
Yeah.
like that who comes up like a dark knight or something. That dark horse. What's it called? Is that the phrase? I don't know. The phrase for that.
Yeah, I kind of see something like that
Mhm.
working, just given the current political climate and the way that Democrats love to cannibalize ourselves. And like, if somebody is like has a little bit of baggage, it's like,
Yeah.
the purity tests and the like, oh, well, they weren't perfect on everything, so I'm not going to vote for them. So
Yeah.
I feel like that helped, honestly, Obama a lot.
Yeah.
And I could see something like that being good,
Mhm.
but.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, I guess it really just depends on where we are politically in 2028. Like, what do we need as a
Yeah.
country? Do we need somebody like Newsom who's going to go up against Trump? What's he doing? Is he still around? Like,
Right.
what are we
Yeah.
up against?
Do we think he's going to make it till 2028? My guess is
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
What
I
do you
think
think, Tess? Do you think he's going to
so.
be alive by 2028? I think no.
It's not looking good.
I don't know. I
Who
can't say
knows
for
it?
sure. I just feel like the president has like the best healthcare in the entire
Yes.
world, and people are trying so hard to keep him alive. Um,
Those cankles
so
are
for
working hard
that
too, though.
reason, listen, his entire lifestyle is working hard against him, but I feel like he has the best healthcare, better healthcare than probably like in the world. So. Uh, in that sense, I don't know. I think they'll puppet him around even. They'll weekend at Bernie's him before they let him die. But I don't know. I hope that he's out for whatever reason. I don't care what gets him out.
Right.
Get him out.
The healthcare when he had COVID, and I was like, "Who got some good healthcare?"
Oh
Because everybody
yeah.
like he's old, he has all those comorbidities, and he survived COVID. People was like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah. Especially early days COVID. I definitely
yeah."
people were like, it's happening. And it's like, no, it's not.
He had
Yeah.
great healthcare.
Yeah. So hook
Well,
him up to an IV, give him whatever he needs, and throw him out when they need to. I don't know.
He's Teflon Don. My mom is convinced he did some sort of voodoo or something. He did some sort of voodoo sacrifice or something to survive all of these things, all these years. Like he's like,
I
yeah,
think that
this
evil
Epstein
like
thing makes me.
weirdly keeps people alive. Like, and yeah, I feel like evil just like keeps people alive. Like
Yeah.
being it's crazy. And yeah, maybe it is just a deal with the devil. I don't know.
could
Yeah.
be.
Yes.
Well, with everything being the worst all the time, we always try to wrap up our podcast with something that makes us happy because it's really hard to find things that make us happy. So we have this deck that is all questions about things that bring us joy. I pulled a
Oh,
question
okay.
for us.
Oh, nice.
And the question is what was the most fun you had in the last year? It's just something kind of silly, but it
Oh
helps us
my
reset our mood.
goodness. Oh, I can tell you the most fun I had last year. I went to Carnival. My husband is from Trinidad, and they have like Caribbean music, like street festivals, kind of carnival, and it's the best in the world. I had a blast. I went with him and his boys and a few other friends, and it's also like parties after parties, and there's 2 days of a street party at the end. That's the culmination of a weekend, and we went for 2 weeks, and so fun. Oh my God. I was like, I've got to go back. And he used to go with all his friends and stuff like that. And he said this year is the wife year, so everybody can bring their wives and girlfriends. But it's almost like Brazil Carnival. You guys know about Brazil Carnival. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yes, yeah.
it's almost like this. It's a little bit, it's a lot different, but it's the same similar thing. So that was so fun.
I love
I love
that.
that. Do you have a favorite thing from the last year that was a lot of fun, Tess?
I just got back from Mexico. It was
Oh,
a really lovely time. I love traveling, so I feel like anytime. But we did get COVID, so I don't know if it was the most fun.
that's good.
Let's see. Um, Okay, I'll do in the past year, we're in July now, so we're going through. Last year, I had a Six Flags season pass, and I
Okay,
love
that's
roller
fun.
coasters, and I
Oh,
love Six Flags. So I went to Six Flags quite a bit
awesome.
last year. I didn't end up renewing my pass, but I feel like I should. Sometimes you just gotta like go ride a few roller coasters and feel like everything's okay.
Right.
I think my answer might be today. We released a new product like late
Oh,
yesterday afternoon and it's doing great. And I was so anxious about whether or not it was going to be successful, and it has been. And so I'm like super
oh,
proud of
good.
myself.
That's great. What was it? Was it?
We created an affirmation deck that
Mhm.
is sinister as opposed to like happy. So, you know how normally an affirmation deck is like, I am powerful and wise, and ours is like talking about like summoning, the hellish forces to, avenge you and go after your enemies and stuff like that. Just like
Oh,
witchy,
yeah.
occult, supernatural, fun,
Yeah.
silly little affirmation deck that is more my personal style.
Yeah.
And so I'm just happy it's resonating with people.
Yay. That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a great episode, and we look forward to sharing it with everybody that
Yeah.
listens.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. That
Yeah.
was fun.